The Cyclocross World Cup in Maaschmechelen is the last big showdown of the season between Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert. The situation on the start is Wout van Aert on row 4. He's in really good form and he's won a couple of races this season, but last week he also started on row 4 and really struggled moving up. Is he going to have the same issue today? Mathieu van der Poel has won every single cyclocross race that he has entered this season, but he is coming back from a break after hurting his rib in a crash. He picked up an injury, but he still managed to claim victory in that race, but we need to see if any lingering problems still affect him. Van der Poel starts on row 2, so he will have some traffic to deal with before he can hit the front. That being said, he still has an advantage over Wout van Aert. Other big names include Lars van der Haar, Elizabeth and Michael van Tornout. A good start from all the favourites, no one getting blocked or in trouble as they go through some tricky sections. As you can see here, a lot of riders are getting held up, but fortunately Wout van Aert was far enough forward to avoid the carnage. That moment there just shows how important it is to be well placed in a cyclocross race. On the next segment, Wout van Aert lost a lot of time. Coming into the section, he is only 2 places behind Van der Poel, but then 2 things happen. First, you can see he got blocked by another rider, forcing him to dismount. Then more significantly, he crashes, catching his arm on the fence and getting spun round. This causes him to lose even more positions, and in the space of just 30 seconds he has gone from being 2 places behind Van der Poel to being around 10 places behind. Being behind more riders means there's more obstacles in the way that could hold him up, and he has more time to make up. Although it doesn't seem it at the time, this is a deciding factor in the race as it forces Van Aert to burn even more energy. Not to mention the fact that his arm is probably in pain, making handling and carrying the bike more difficult. Now at this point, Van der Poel has ridden a smooth and mistake-free race. He hasn't taken any wind and is feeling fairly fresh at this point compared to a lot of the other riders around him. Wout van Aert meanwhile is fighting for positions in 11th place. As lap 1 wraps up, Van der Poel is in perfect position, slipstreaming in 2nd place. However, Van Aert is only 7 seconds behind him and a number of riders still have a chance to win. On the off-camber section at the start of lap 2, Michael van Tornout slips and loses time. Meanwhile, Wout van Aert rides the section strongly, climbing up to 2nd place. Van der Poel and Nevenhuis have a small gap, but Van Aert powers across the gap to catch up. It is clearly a big and taxing effort for Wout van Aert, but at least now he is at the front of the race. That being said, over the first lap and a half, Van Aert has had to work much harder than Van der Poel. He had to make up ground as he started further back and because he crashed. This leaves Van der Poel much fresher and with more left in the legs than Wout van Aert. Now here you can see the advantage of bunny hopping the planks as Michael van Tornout uses this skill to close the gap on the front group. Next, Van Aert makes a strong acceleration in an attempt to open up a gap on Van der Poel, clearly a sign that Van Aert is feeling good. But it doesn't faze Van der Poel, who holds his wheel. Van Aert is really trying to put the pressure on, but then bam, he goes down. His face is in the mud and his handlebars are twisted. He has to fix them and get back on his bike, and in the process of doing so he loses 15 seconds to Van der Poel. Van der Poel sees this opportunity and accelerates. He doesn't want to give Van Aert an opportunity to recover and get back on terms, especially now that he's seen how good form Wout van Aert is in. Van der Poel then goes on to start building his gap. Then Nevenhuis crashes too, giving Van Aert the opportunity to reclaim his 2nd place that was lost in the crash. As the lap comes to an end, Van der Poel finds himself with a 19-second gap over Wout van Aert. There is still a chance at this point for Van Aert. Van der Poel could make a mistake, and the gap is only 19 seconds, which is very closable. But the problem is, Van Aert has had to exert himself so much over the first 2 laps of the race, between his crashes and his poor starting position. This contrasts Van der Poel's race because he had a much smoother and efficient ride, with no hold-ups and no crashes, and this leaves his legs much fresher at this stage in the race. Over the next few laps, Van der Poel settles into an incredible rhythm while Wout van Aert is in chase. Van der Poel's pace is so high that the gap reaches 37 seconds to Van Aert by the end of lap 3. Van Aert made another mistake that lap, meanwhile Van der Poel rode flawlessly. Van Aert drops the group containing Van Tornout and Nevenhuis, but Van der Poel is unstoppable at this point. The only thing that could prevent him winning would be a large crash. On lap 5, Nevenhuis pushes on alone in 3rd place. Van der Poel wins after riding 5 laps solo by over a minute as Van Aert comes in 2nd. Again, Van der Poel is unstoppable as he does a celebration where he puts the phone down as he crosses the line. Nevenhuis finishes a brilliant ride in third place.